Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show, The Strange Reality with Dave Emmons, where we have guests that go from spirituality, consciousness, ETs, UFOs, cryptids, Bigfoot, even sometimes current events and ancient biblical history. We might be able to cover a few of those topics with the lady that I have on today, and she's been on the show before, and I've enjoyed what she had to say, and I know a lot of you do too. And she's in New York now, but she's from Australia, but she's in New York doing some stuff. She'll tell us about that after I intro her. And she's like, her name is Bobbie Richardson. Oh, by the way, I hope everybody had a good Easter. And sorry about the Pope. He died right after Easter. That's kind of synchronicity. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe Bobby can shine some light on that. But that's weird. But I just wanted to say I hope everybody had happy Easter. And the best thing to do is get together as a family, and that means everybody in the family. That doesn't mean that whoever you voted for, you can't come to the house. That's not no good. That's no good. That's bad. I've heard some stories that no, you can't. Family members even saying you can't come to the house because you voted for so and so. So we're not going to have you there. That's kind of awful. I think that's shows a shallow family love. I know our family. I got 10 brothers and sisters, and I know we've had our ups and downs, but we was able to get back together. And I think that's what this country needs to do is get back together in all countries, Europe, Canada, Mexico, Australia, Japan, Philippines, and all these countries are going through this new world order change, and the globalist thing, the elite thing, and it's bothering a lot of people. But let me get back to my guest. I got off sidetrack about the Easter, but she's been on the show before. Bobbie Richardson. She's from Australia, like I said. She's a motivational speaker, seer, channeler, empath, visionary author, illustrator, artist, singer, songwriter, video producer, YouTuber, and proud mom. A mom who found wisdom through spiritual guidance. She has very little education. All of her wisdom was given to her by a spirit through dreams, visions, and seeing with her eyes into the other frequencies and real visitations. And she has seen many different beings giving her information since she was a child till the age of 50 years of age. I guess many were guides showing her the path to higher frequencies that lie dormant within, and some people who had passed over, others were those showing me the power I denied myself. I was taken to different dimensions on Earth, places and that humanity can tap into once they find a balance within the late or within the I got my light is fakey here, and take their own authentic power back. And you mentioned, I guess you had a contact with a Pleiadian also. I think, that story is in there. But yes, motivational speaker, seer, channeler, empath, and you got classes. You're in New York. And could you tell us a little bit now, Bobbie Richardson, what you're doing in New York and what's going on with you today?
Yeah, so synchronicity took over for me, and a lot of guidance.
Mhm.
So at the same time as my relationship had broken up a year before, and I was still living with the person that I was living with, that house was being sold. At exactly the same time, I was doing lives, and a friend of mine from New York who had had group sessions with me because I'd changed a lot of her path and other people's paths. She said, I really want you to come to New York. So she ended up wanting to just pay for, half of it in that. And we decided to put up a bit of a GoFundMe, and we just got inundated with money from that for me to come to New York to help to do some talks over here. So it was really synchronistic how I just ended up here, and I literally had to push through a bit of a fear of flying on my own. But I'm glad I did it because the trip was ace. I aced that flight. I was so happy with myself because I was thinking I'm going to need two seats because I need to lie down because I can't sleep. And the very first flight was an hour. I was actually flying to New Zealand first. And then I had this flight from Blenheim to Auckland that had a seat next to me spare. That was only an hour and a half flight. And I just held it there and went, nah, the next flight, the big flight, even though it was crossed out, there was a person sitting next to me, it's going to be free. And it was. And the flight was booked, fully booked. And that seat next to me was free. So
Really?
I'm like, yes,
Oh,
thank you guys. So I've really been looked after through this whole trip coming here. And just this whole just the whole love and everything from the people that have been here since I've been come here is just immense. Like it's almost like meeting my soul tribe. I've
right.
met these people that are really in sync with me and helping me, and we're just helping each other. It's just been an absolutely beautiful trip. I've only just landed here a few days ago, just got over jet lag, and I've already had one meeting at the library there in Port Washington, which was fully booked, and that was filmed. But I was a little bit, yeah, lightheaded from the jet lag, but I still powered through, and my team gave lots of really cool messages in that meetup. I've got two more meetups in Bedford studio that they have created for me. And that's the 3rd and the 17th of May. So if anyone's in Port Washington, in New York, the Bedford studio will be the place to go at 6:30, I think, on those dates, PM. And then another one, Razor Light, which is, I think, 7:30. Yeah, at the Razor Light studio there in Port Washington. So there's a few talks that I'll be doing while I'm here. And I've already had a whole heap of individual readings and stuff like that. People actually coming to the house to have individual readings because I really want to help as many people as possible through these times.
Mhm. Okay. Now, during your lectures or your classes, whatever you call them there, could you take us through what you talk about and just kind of quickly give us a
Mhm.
synopsis of what you do with these groups, and Bobbie, and let us know that, how they are they asking questions and what kind of questions are they asking and how you go about through your meetings. I know after the jet lag, okay, after
Yeah.
after the jet lag, we can remember better. But talk about jet lag. I have a bad back, and I was stuck in a seat up against the wall of the plane, and I'm a big guy, and I'll tell you what, I was hurting through the whole flight. That's
Mm.
from Philippines back home here to the States.
Yeah,
And man, was that
not
you
easy.
just reminded me of something of pain, a painful memory. But yeah,
Yeah.
tell us about your classes. What do you do, and what do you talk about? And you have
Mhm.
questions. Tell us about what goes on.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the meetups, I was just talking a bit about myself, and then I asked the audience, "Would you rather some more stories?" Because I've got very unique stories that have gone through really interesting stories that my whole life has taken me down paths that just blows your logical mind out of the water, kind of thing. That things that have happened to me. And then I said to them, would you rather that or channeling?" And they're like, "Channeling, please." So I started to channel messages for the group. So I kind of tune in my team, who's literally, I see them lined up beside me. We just tune into the group and see what messages come through for the whole. And then there's Q&A after that, so questions and answers, and that could be anything from their own personal story of what they're going through, mothers with dementia and stuff like that, and why does that happen? Just any sort of question to AI, to all sorts. And I just channel through what comes through for the answer. And then the meetups in Bedford are going to be more intimate. So that's more of there's only going to be like 15 people at those, and really a lot more energy and vibes and collective kind of coming together. I want to be able to lift the whole team up, or everyone up into a higher frequency while I'm there. So yeah, it's really, I love it. I love this work. It's literally what my whole life has led me to. I've been obviously like many people, the black sheep, called the fifth element when I have conversations. I just love this sort of work to be able to help people. But my team has put me through the ringer to be able to learn all of this stuff. Where one day they actually led me to actually digging up gold at a beach, like told me to dig there. I dug it, and 3 inches in the sand was a solid gold bracelet worth $1,000. And from then on, I started to listen to the communication that was coming through as channeled advice. And I call myself a conscious channeler because I'm not someone who goes into a state and then allows someone to come through as a medium. I am literally having these conversations in my head like telepathy. And I believe this is where we're all going to reach because when they took me to the potential of humanity, in that story, when I woke up in this potential, my mind was completely still, and there was so much clarity within me that telepathy was very easy. You were just automatically connected to everything. It's like your intuitive mind has a connection to everything outside of you, and so you can have a lot more understanding of your environment from a feeling base. So yeah, I love this work to be able to teach people that we don't have to be the victim to our reality anymore. We are all energy. We're all love going on a journey. And once we realize that, the only fear is actually created from within us. And the feeling that we are less power than somebody else outside of us gives us that feeling of fear, which blocks us from entering any further into other dimensions and stuff because it has to. It's literally a code in itself to hold us kind of in a limited consciousness until we face the fear and realize and recognize that it was always coming from within us to begin with. Um, you were talking about before people becoming anxious.
Yes.
And that is literally because the anxiousness is coming from the logical mind that has been programmed since you were a kid, schooling, parents, to always look outside yourself to be able to shift something and control everything outside of yourself. When you realize that it's always coming from within you, that it's a whole different game. So the anxiousness is coming from that logic, trying to predict what's going to come next, and yet it can only grab from this life what's happened in the past and project it into the future. So you're literally copying and pasting your life over and over. So your anxiousness is coming from, well, if I go down this path, I know there's going to be, there's going to be turmoil or, some sort of disaster. I'm going to get caught and someone's going to be in more power than me. But if you learn to just shush that, and that's what my team taught me to do after I found that gold bracelet, they were teaching me to just quiet my mind enough, then I would be able to take my intuitive feeling and start to move towards that. But that's an unknown quantity to the logical mind. The logical mind will only repeat things over and over. So you're actually jumping off a proverbial cliff into this unknown aspect, an unknown story. And that's where people get caught back into, oh, well, I'm going to follow my logical mind instead because I know that even if it's a past going towards fear. So like literally my own story, I'm in Australia. I put out to the universe that I need to follow my mission. That means I have to break away from the old pattern story. That means the story came up about going to New York and flying. And I had to just let go of the fact of, oh my God, last time I flew, I was with my kids and I didn't sleep and the anxiousness started coming. And I had to let go of that because they're like, no, you will be looked after because you're following your happiness, you're following your mission, you're following something that you're passionate about. And it did. It was absolutely perfect trip.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Sorry, I had a little problem here. My lighting went
That's all
crazy.
right.
My lighting went crazy and it started getting too bright, so I had to adjust it back down and change it. But Uh, I want to know. I mean, you're receiving these messages consciously when you're awake, and this is what a lot of people have said. Like from even Tesla all the way up, all these scientists, they say our brain is just a memory, and every all the information comes in from outside of us, and it's telepathic, I guess, like you're saying. Now, in the beginning, let's go back from to the very beginning on how you obtain these talents and how you learned how to listen to these telepathic signs, Bobbie. And that was at a young age, right? When this all started.
Well, I was born into a family that could see things that others couldn't see. My mum had exactly the same gift. So she would wake up and see things that were giving her messages. She shut it down. She said, "No, I don't like that. It's not going to, doesn't feel good for me." And she literally shut it down on me as well. Even though I was receiving messages, I remember the first message received was at the age of 2 because of the house that we were in. I knew I was only 2 and running inside and saying to my mum, "Oh my gosh, this is happening." She's just like, had a bad day, just told me to buzz off, and I was very upset about it. Um, so I was kind of, because I have such a strong connection to my soul, but then I lost it, right? Because you go into school, you're told you're a fool, you shouldn't be thinking like that and all of that. So I lost it just like everyone else. And it wasn't until I was 27 that my team kind of picked it up again and directed me to digging up this gold bracelet at the same time. Um, and then I'm like, okay, I've got to listen to this voice that's inside my head. And they ended up teaching me. I didn't even know what the word meditation was. I really didn't know anything. But they ended up teaching me how to control my mind by putting in what they called a default image. And it's like taking the computer back to a default program. So your brain is constantly, with the neuron paths, we're either repeating and going over a story in our heads, which is infusing it into our reality and bringing it back to us. The universe is literally a mirror reflection of that we are thinking over and over. So the more that you focus in on something, the more that you are fueling it. If you don't want something in your life, you need to let it go and then focus on what do I really want out of my reality and move towards that. So they taught me that. And the default image was, they said, choose anything. I chose a fluffy duck to begin with. And then my logical brain kept running it over. So every time I had a negative thought in my head, I'll go, okay, fluffy duck, fluffy duck. And then my logical brain will run it over. So they said something not so emotionally attached. You're not emotionally attached to it. So I chose a sunflower from then on. So what I did is just kept learning whenever I thought of my ex-husband taking me to court or whatever it was happening in those horrible moments in my life. Okay, sunflower. Do you know this 100%? No, you don't. So sunflower, put the sunflower in your head because you don't want to keep on repeating that same thought over and over. You're literally creating it and people will reflect that back to you. They will literally meet you at that place that you are expecting to have happen. So if you're expecting great things to happen, and even leaving it open for something new to happen, then at least you're going towards a different direction than the copy and paste mentality that you've been taught or programmed to use your logical brain too much.
Right.
It's only meant to be there to be able to, logic side is only meant to be there to be able to create this physical world where we don't put our fingers through things. It's a program that holds us in this reality so we can have an adventure in this life only. But it's not supposed to create, like keep us in a loop and stuck. That is supposed to be the imagination, but we poo-poo the imagination, we belittle it, right? So whenever it comes in, it's like, oh yeah, that's airy fairy. No, that's actually the thing that will save us because our imagination, when it's agreed to by logic, it can be grounded in this reality and create an incredible things.
You know,
Yeah.
I hear that whenever you say negative things, like you just said a while ago, that if you keep telling your brain that you're a loser and you're scared to do this and you're scared to do that, that their brain will accept that and you will be who you say you are. And
Yes.
if you say you're a winner and you manifest good, positive things in your life, I guess you're talking about manifestation too in there a little bit, where you manifest your life in a positive way instead of a negative way. But I hear these people going back to the pre-show we were talking. These people are stressed out. I see them on the internet talking. Do you feel really like you're in anxiety constantly and you're under stress? And a lot of people do. And it's because
Yeah.
of what's going on around us, the world.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about, I guess there's going to be some kind of a change, and you wanted the shift and how it affects you. Is this part of the shift? Is what we're going through, Bobbie?
Yeah, it becomes so intense when, like, we're literally what I call going through the quickening, where we're coming closer and closer to being able to experience ourselves as love going on that journey, as source energy, as God, whatever you want to call it, prime creator. And we become the creators of our reality. But to come into that, we are faced off with all of that's been telling us this is how society is. It's doom and gloom, and the more that you focus in on it, the more anxiety you're going to become aware of, so that you finally get to the point where you just go, I surrender. And when you get to that point of I surrender, and it could even feel like I just want to die, like you literally surrender. When you get to that point, it's like, well, now I'm sick of thinking about these things. So why not think about something that I want to attain, I want to move towards, something good, something positive. Moment by moment, if you do that, like little by little, every day, just keep going, what's going to make me happy in every moment, what's going to make me happy, and just keep doing it. You'll be amazed with how the rest of the world starts to work with you. And if they don't, if they fall away, then they're supposed to. They were only there for the lesson. They weren't there for you reaching a higher status of being happy in your life. So we're all going through what we call that shift into realizing that we can actually gain wisdom and knowledge through our intuition, our feelings, channeling, becoming more in tune with our outside world. It can only be more in tune with your outside world through love of it. But if you're like fighting it or anxious about it, then you're going to keep staying stuck.
Right.
So it's a flip in humanity's consciousness from one state of awareness where only logic's taking over to, oh, I have to allow my intuition to take up to help. One of the dreams that they gave me, it might give a little bit more sense.
You
Um,
you talk about they. Where do you think this is coming from, Bobbie? Could you tell us?
I have a because my soul comes straight from Pleiades, like I know that 100%. And I've even been found by an elder that was sent by her elders to find people straight from Pleiades. Plus, I've had UFO encounters with Pleiadian beings and so forth. Um, yeah, so they're kind of my soul tribe and that frequency. So we work together because the more that I'm in tune with my soul, the more I'm in tune with my soul's past and my soul's past lives. So my body was obviously born here. I'm born birth through my mum, but that's my DNA and my physical body. But then I have another past that is from where my soul is just dropped into this family, where a lot of families' DNA and their soul has gone on the same journey. Mine has come from somewhere else. So that's why I seem so like a black sheep and so different. And so I can, because I'm very close to, because I've enlightened myself and I'm pretty much in a happy space most of the day, um, they come through really easily with me now. Like they're just there. And so I can have these messages that they have the wisdom of, that they pull through as well. So I'd be talking to you just normally like this, and then some of the wisdom will be coming from them, and some of it is literally my higher self as well. So it can be, but there's also other beings that come in as well. There's the
Oh,
Cyanians, and they are the observers of many more dimensions. There's the Arcturians. They are more They come and talk about things scientifically a little bit more. Frequency, they're more into frequencies and that sort of thing. Um, they're connected to the monks and stuff of Buddha, Buddhism and stuff like that. They're connected to Buddhism. Uh,
Uh, Bobbie, you said you a while ago, you said that you have like a fuzzy duck that you went to. And is it normal? I guess it's normal for everybody to have these plateaus where they go up and down and bad feelings, good feelings. Human life is almost like that. I mean, if we don't suffer pain and sorrow, we'll never know what pleasure and happiness really is. So we
well,
we have to learn all this. Is that right, Bobbie?
yeah, well, anything that is of an emotion that is bringing you further away from source energy or feeling bad about yourself or whatever tense is just showing you where you're not in alignment with your whole self. You're not in alignment somewhere. You're not listening to your intuition. You're not listening to your soul. You're not listening to your logic even. It could be either or, but most people are listening to their logic in this day and age. So it's like resistance happens and it keeps us in there has to be a moment where, well, I know when I went into this potential of humanity, my mind was completely clear. Like I didn't have that sort of resistance. There's always going to be a little bit though, because source energy and its infinite power would never make something completely perfect, because if it's completely perfect, you can't evolve. So there has to be some sort of resistance to evolve, but the amounts that humanity is pulled under is just to the point of consuming itself. It's not good. It's at the bottom of the level. We should be raising our awareness higher than this so that we're at least allowed to have an adventure on this beautiful planet that feels good. We're supposed to feel good.
Mhm.
We're not supposed to feel anxious and nervous and all of that all the time. That's the program pulled over us. It's keeping us in a fear limited consciousness. It is supposed to raise out of that so that your majority of your day is feeling very at peace with oneself. But if there's resistance coming, it's like, oh, maybe I'm getting too comfortable in this state. I know my soul wants to evolve. So it'll start feeling resistance, and resistance will come towards you so that you can evolve out of that and go, what do I actually want to change? Where do I actually want to go? What do I want to explore that's different than what I was before? Let's use our imagination. Imagine something even better than what I have been doing, and constantly working like that. I'll go back to that dream that I was going to bring up before.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I stepped through a portal with a friend of mine, a masculine friend of mine. And as we were walking along the beach, there was an ocean on one side and then stars in the sky. And they started to turn to fish. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in a story within a story. So there was a natural story and then there was another story. And I'm like, this is really weird. Okay. I was like in between realities in that dream. And then the man lied down on the beach and he said, I'm going to go back to Earth. And that's like my masculine mind saying, I'm going to go back to Earth. And then I lied on top of him and I said, that's okay, but you have to let me lead now. And he said, why? And I said, because I have the imagination. So this is what humanity is going to need to do. We're going to start to need to kickstart our imagination to imagine something beautiful in this world and then go, why can't I ground that? Why can't I create that in this reality and find the people that resonate with you? And then you'll pull together with these kind of soul tribes and groups of people that are resonating with you to create that. And we'll start to turn this reality around where we don't have to listen to those that have created their world. And they created their world in a kind of a triangle, one person at the top dictating to all how it should be.
Right.
They feel their reality with a fear game. They feel their reality with, literally taking humanity's imagination hostage. And
It's
then
like,
they program our imagination to rethink and rethink and rethink the same problems over and war is coming, this is coming, prices are going up, everything's going wrong. Oh my God. Constantly over and over. And you'd see it's not changed much. That sort of stuff hasn't changed much in your life. But you have the capacity to be able to say, I'm not listening to that anymore. I'm going to put my focus in on what I really, really, truly want to create. I'm going to take these leaps of faith into this unknown quantity. I don't know where I'm really going to land, but I'm going to take a leap of faith because I'm over that story. I don't want to do it anymore. It gives me anxiousness. I'm going to start creating my new story. And then you're working from within your own mind, asking yourself, how to ground this. What's the next step to ground my imagination? What do I need to ground my imagination? And also asking the energies to come towards you. You know, the outside world, they're showing me like the matrix and the spoon that's bending. There is no spoon. There is no outside world. It really does come from how much you've supported yourself and how much you're moving through this world. And that makes all the difference. Since I left Australia and I went to New Zealand to see my parents and my family, who have completely all my life made me feel small, insignificant, wishy-washy person, all of that sort of thing, because I'm way out there with the fairies and the way that I think. All of them have just clapped and thought I was amazing. It's all because I've shifted my inside to
mm,
supporting me. I'm
yeah,
no longer needing them to support me. I don't even care if they support me. I know who I am now.
yeah,
So
that's
because
great.
I don't care that they support me and I supported myself, all of a sudden they are matching that vibration because they love me. And so their love has come back as a match. And I have had every single one of them that I wasn't talking to and all that, all of them love me. And this whole trip has just been filled with love the
That's
whole
great.
way through,
And as
purely
you, yeah,
because
as
I've
you were
changed.
talking a while ago about the powers to be, the people have been telling us how to live, and the dictator from top down, and they've been lying to us all out through history. The elites, the cabal nowadays, and the rich people, the ones who control the planet, they're the ones who put the pressure on us and the stress and the anxieties. And I heard when you were talking, I was just thinking, man, these are the people or the layers of power that really put the pressure on us little guys and try to make us live in fear. And once they've
Mm.
got you in fear, just like we're doing now, we're living through fear, because
I'm not though.
people,
Not as much as what I was. Let's put it that way. I
well,
wouldn't say I'm 100% there,
yeah,
but I'm definitely not as much as what I was. And I can see the difference. And it's literally an inside job.
yeah,
It's not even like we can put the blame on everything outside of us. We cannot control anything outside of us.
no,
We can only control what's within us. And that makes such a big difference as we're moving through our life. Those that have so-called control, we're still caught in the victimized fear game of I'm a victim, they're more powerful than me. But if you see yourself from the eyes of source energy, of God, kind creator, whatever you want to call it, I don't care what you call it, the universe. If you see yourself from the all, the one, that is just love. Everything out here is love going on a journey. So that means anything that isn't is just the lack of that. And so you are creating by saying you're a victim and powerless to something else, which is exactly at the same power as you from through the eyes of source energy. You've already created that reality. So the majority of humanity's consciousness has locked themselves into I'm a victim, I have no power, and I can't change my reality. I have to follow what they say, and that's how I'm going to do it. Instead of, I am source energy going on a journey. I take my power back. I am in charge of my feelings and how I decide that I think about myself. And I'm in charge of creating the reality I want through using my imagination to focus in on that. It shifts you into a whole nother game, and you're outside of their game. Like, yeah, you still there's still society where you have to live in that. But I've literally done this whole trip on a shoestring. Like I haven't got a big bank account or anything like that. I've just been looked after the whole way through. People just have loved me and wanted to help me. And it's just come so easily. And it's not like I'm asking anyone for anything. It's just automatically happening for me because I know my mission, I know who I am, and I feel it within myself now. And so the outside world is reflecting that. Now, if all of us did this, they have no game because we're not fueling them, we're not giving them any power. They
Yeah.
they bring me to the movie, the Merlin movie. And the Merlin movie, there was this really, I think her name was Mab or something. She was a very evil witch, kind of very, very, very powerful. And Merlin walks into this room where she's like, I am going to condemn you. And he just walks in and goes, you don't exist in my life, and walks out. And like that's where she went, "Arr!" because she had no power on him,
Yeah.
over him. Whenever I've been confronted, even with demonic beings, when if I could see into realities when I was still imbalanced, and still had fear, I would conjure up these demonic beings in front of me. And then I had to come to the point where I had no fear of them. It's in the fairy tales, we have to meet this at no fear because that is truly who we are. We are all source energy. Source energy doesn't have fear. It's not in its reality. It just wants to go on a beautiful adventure and have fun. So we are learning to step out of that fear game and no longer be the victim. I mean, one of the first things that happened when I was splitting up with my ex-husband, I was like, oh my God, he's going to take me to court. I'm going to lose my kids. Rah, rah, rah. He's making me out to be insane and all this stuff. And I sent this letter to the elder that found me and I said, rah, rah, all this. And she sent a letter back. First thing she wrote in capitals was stop being the victim with exclamation marks. And I read it and went, he's doing it to me. That's what I was thinking. He's doing it to me, right? And then I went, okay, maybe I am being a victim and maybe I should command because then my flip type, I have a lot of help from my guides. My flip phone flipped up and it said command. And I'm like, I have to command this to
Wow.
stop. So I went outside and then I saw the stars and I just went, I command this to be over. In other words, I'm not going to be a victim to this anymore. I went to bed. And then it was like this light bulb went off in my head of exactly what I had to say to him on a phone call. And I had the strength to do it too, to ring him up, which I didn't before because my anxiety had taken over. So everything switched from being a victim to all of a sudden knowing exactly what to say and how to get out of the problem. And he never took me to court. So
And these were all messages that you were getting from outside, and you say some of your messages are Pleiadians. Now, do they give you wisdom and knowledge outside of personal, spiritual, leadership? Do they give you wisdom and knowledge like to tell you how to do something or how to invent something? Do they do anything like that, like the Pleiades people? They're nice. Sometimes they give you like Tesla and all these other Wharton von Braun. They give these people wisdom and knowledge to do something. Uh,
yeah.
have you had anything outside of the spiritual leadership from these telepathic voices, Bobbie?
Um, I've had a few things happen. Um, they've led me to understanding a lot of mainly the Pleiadians focus on the journey from when they left Earth till now. So they've led me down the path of our true history. And I've also had I have had when I was like 19, I asked, it does depend what I asked, but I haven't really asked for inventions to tell you the truth. But I did ask this one thing when I was 19. I asked about UFOs and how that worked, how the engines of a UFO worked. And they showed me a tube and they showed me magnets, something to do with magnets. and a tube of light. And I don't completely remember because I was only 19. We're talking a long time ago now. But I know if I did ask for something, I possibly could get more information about that sort of thing. And I probably could be going into that in the future. But so far, most of it has been on healing humanity, finding our potential, and our true history. That's where I've been taken mainly. So I'm going to just stick to those topics at
Now,
the moment.
you're in New York, and New York needs a lot of help, that's for sure. With all everything that's been going on in New York over the past several years, uh, some of the questions that people ask you, speaking of how people feel, have you been able to gauge how people feel in New York just by going through some meetings, Bobbie, and getting some questions? What kind of questions do you get from these people?
Most of them have been personal questions whenever there hasn't been so I mean I've only done one meetup at the moment, so that's what I've found. I haven't had like the whole political games and all of that sort of stuff come up and um yeah, it's been mainly a personal like try to find help for their siblings, their parents, their you know what? It's not much different in Australia, to tell you the honest truth. There's, I haven't felt any, like everyone was saying, oh, New York, oh, USA. It's not as bad as all that.
Yeah.
Because even in New Zealand and Australia, they're very much even keel with the energy and the vibe of the people. There's a lot that are asleep. There's a lot that are still thinking they're victim to the world and they have to play that game and all of that. And so, but that's because there is specific souls that are supposed to have met their own self first to and healed their own self. And then it's not like we all come up together. It's like there's waves. They always show me these waves of people coming up the ranks. So I just feel it everywhere, honestly, Dave, that it's pretty much similar. Yeah, I've been really surprised about the uh, the television news and all that. I don't watch news,
Mm.
but when I was with my father, he watched news all the time. So you can't not miss it sometimes. And it was very negative against USA in the way of everything, Trump is a fool and all of that sort of stuff, because it's been bought out by the cabal. They own it. So they can do whatever they want with the stories. But over here, it's not so bad. And I'm like, well, I was expecting it to be worse over here. So
Yeah,
I'm actually quite surprised.
yeah, it's political propaganda, just like they got in UK and in Germany and France, and a lot of people are actually for Trump in UK, and they say they like Trump, they like what he's doing, and he's really doing a lot that's kind of shocked people. I mean,
Yeah.
he just
He's what I would call a matrix smasher. Another one that I met was David Icke. I went to Uluru with
yeah.
David Icke. They're
Mhm.
called matrix smashers. So they just come into this reality and they have this gumption and this tenacity and they just power through. And it doesn't matter even if they do make mistakes or do silly things or whatever, they have the authority to be able to bust up the matrix. And so they do. They literally smash it to pieces.
Well,
And then we're going to have the rise of those that are more star beings, people that are more inclined to come from the heart and like I am and others of my friends and that we're like raising our vibe into helping, settle humanity into a better balance within themselves. So you've got the smashers, you've got the ones that rise you, and then we'll have the ones that are going to teach gifts and things like that. So people are coming into more of a power of their gifts as in telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation, all of those sort of things. Because anything that was created outside of us, because humanity was so focused on outside, everything was created outside of us, which could be controlled by another person. All of that is exactly what could happen from within us. Nothing outside of us can be explored unless there is a capability from within us.
right.
So that's going to rise as well. So there's like these waves of people coming through. Um, and yes, it's not to say that a matrix smasher is not going to make, mistakes. Or he doesn't care. They don't care if they make mistakes. They're just there to wipe out
Yeah,
that
Bobbie.
original
Bobbie,
program
that's,
that,
that
you know,
sounds like a name of a good book, The Matrix Smasher. Yeah,
yeah, right.
I
I've met one. David Icke is a definite one that right there. So I've
where
met
do you
him.
where do they get their powers, or where do they get their I guess their direction? Who they get it
That
from? Like, oh,
drive. They are so driven. Their souls are just here specifically to just plow through, and they have so much support within themselves. They know who they are and they just go for it. They don't care about the outside world and what they think about them at all. They have to be like that. So it can look like, oh my God, this guy's nuts. It can look like that because he's actually smashing something through that everybody has been holding on to and thinking that's the way it has to go.
yeah,
Isn't it great that we end up with people that are in leadership now that are actually pushing the envelope in all sorts of ways?
right.
But then humanity has to pick up, what do they actually want? What does the consciousness of humanity want now? Where do we want to go? Where do we want to use, how do we want to use our imagination? What do we want to look like? And it could be that we could pull in together with different keep showing me around the world there'll be different pools of people. Some people will go more into um, even AI and stuff like that and allowing it, but it's coming from love. It's not coming from a distortedness of fear. It's coming from love. And then others will be really inclined to stick with the nature of Earth and her natural program, and some will be doing a bit of both and, having a really beautiful place with electricity. So it just depends.
Yeah, the Matrix Smasher. You can also put Elon Musk in there too. He's part of this whole scheme of things and change. And in Britain, like they're going through changes. They're trying to get away from the globalization. There's a globalization plan going on. One world order or whatever, new world order. Uh,
Yeah, that they will keep all the ones in fear. The ones in fear will still follow them. And so they will keep them in lockdown in their simple little city that they created for themselves. And the rest of us will go do what we want to do because we're realizing we don't even need that
yeah,
to
we,
survive
yeah,
because we've got our own way of producing our reality through our imagination and realizing that it will come back for us and yeah, it will change everything.
yeah. I can see this in the world and how it's going. Now, you mentioned Matrix. We are in a matrix. Is that what your thoughts are? I hear this from a lot of scientists I talk to and people I talk to. They claim we are in a matrix and that we are on, I guess, a singularity timeline where actually we recycle in this timeline. Like you get into this world of, I guess, you come back reincarnation or whatever, and you recycle your soul. Is that true, Bobbie? And tell me about Matrix first, what you know about the Matrix.
I see the Matrix as like a program that's pulled over a program. So we are born as sovereign beings connected to our soul, and then the story that develops is that we are disconnecting ourselves from our soul. We are not feeling based people. We've just got to do what everyone else outside us tells us what to do. That's literally the Matrix pulled over another program. But if we were left to our own device, we would realize we have a connection to our soul. We're more feeling based and we can connect and communicate in a lot more ways than just speaking. Um, so that was meant to happen. It was meant to happen because a long, long time ago, humanity, this is the story I was told by my team. They they brought me to a tourist field, it looks like a donut shape, and then they showed me in the center of it was like a quickening where source energy through humanity's consciousness wanted to go on a journey. And we went, first part of the journey was all to do with our right hemisphere, feminine side, feeling based, connection to all. And we had a lot of different beings that came on this planet at that time. And then we started to play like babies with matches. We wanted to know more about the outside world, the separated world, the world that was tangible. And we were literally carving a path through this very physical world to be able to use as a playground. But when we started, we were just like little babies. And so we ended up creating a few things that went wrong, bombs and stuff like that, that made havoc on this planet, which got the attention of what we'll call the prime creators or the principal people, as Cherokee Elder would call them. And so they're like, well, we have to lock these, it's literally put humanity in a playpen to play out this game because they're going to mess up a lot of other dimensions. So we were locked down and we were severed from our soul's connection. That means telepathy was out the window. We didn't have that anymore. So then these other beings came, like the Annunaki and other beings, Draconians and stuff, and they started, especially the Annunaki, they started to teach humanity how to talk with our mouth, and they call it the babbling, the Tower of Babel. And so that this is something that no other species does because all other species is connected through source energy, their soul, their connection to each other, especially in the breed that they are. And so, yeah, and so humanity was disconnected from everything. And we ended up going on this journey, this physical journey. But to do that, because our logical mind was getting all of its information from the soul as the leader, as the core leader of our reality is our soul's connection. With that's been severed, it could only look outside itself for leadership. So then when it did that, and the unbalanced state that it was, then there would be a victim meet perpetrator. So perpetrator was born as the leaders of humanity's consciousness. And so it allowed these over-consuming beings to come and take over humanity's course. So we've gone full circle now. And 20th of March, I think it was 20th or 28th of March, I ended up having a interaction where I met oneness and I saw the core, the Earth entering this core of this donut, this Taurus energy. And that was just, what happened early 2020, right?
Right.
Where everyone was locked down, So we were returned back home because we need to go within us and no longer look for somebody else to save us anymore. We're the only ones who save ourselves. You give yourself what you know you deserve. You tell yourself how much how amazing you are. You're the one that does it for yourself. You don't look for it outside of yourself. You don't need to acclaim for any sort of ribbons or, winning anything. You've got this from within you and you move through life like that. So that was us returning back to source energy, which was in the guts of this Taurus. And when we pass through what I call the eye of the needle, or just love, in other words, you accept that fully within your soul, heart, mind, everything, you'll spit out the other end and create something completely new. So humanity is going through this massive shift of learning to create something completely different. And even my team and that are like, we don't actually know exactly where this is going to end up. We can kind of see bits and pieces because AI has been created and all that sort of stuff. We can see where it could go, but they don't know fully. But anything that exists needs to be looked at through the eyes of love. You cannot look at things through fear because as soon as you do, you are saying that you are less power than that thing there, and it will always take you under.
Yeah, Bobbie, what's going on now? You said the quickening. You mentioned that word, and it's kind of ring a bell of what's happening now with everybody that's in an uproar around the world. I mention that a lot because that's what's really going on out there. And I watch the news. I shouldn't, but I do just keep up with what's going on. But I look at this thing here with all the UFO and the drone flat, the phenomena that we've been having with drones here in the States, and you have them in Australia too, where there's been a lot of UFOs and a lot of plasma balls, and a lot of plasmoids, big huge things, and there's then the government says it's okay, they're not enemy. The FAA authorized it all. That's what we're hearing from the government, but there's been too many sightings, too many different vehicles that look like, and there's motherships
Yeah.
off of,
They're,
off
they're
of the,
really good at confusing the story, aren't they? So when people start waking up, their DNA wakes up, then they can start to bring in their soul tribes from different planets. So they're like, oh, now we can resonate with that being, that being, that being, that being. So we can start to show ourselves some more in humanity's consciousness. And then at the same time, the one of the powers to be, the powers at the moment, like, oh my God, they've got an influx of UFOs. We better throw in some of our drones and they confuse everybody. And then they'll think that it's just drones, and then we'll pull them back into our fair game again. La, 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 la. It just keeps going on. They confuse things.
right.
Like if there is something good happening, they'll confuse it with something that they've still got control over. They just want control over you. They want your focus. They just want your attention. And as soon as you realize you just don't give them that attention, that you don't feel their reality, you've got all this space to feel your own reality. It's totally different.
We're supposed to have disclosure from the government. And even Trump, he said the same thing as Biden did. These drones and these craft, they're safe, they're not our enemy. And I said, that's not telling us anything. There are hundreds and thousands of them, and people are scared, and
Yeah.
they're not getting any information from the government. And this disclosure thing is just they got some committees who talk about it. Representative Luna, she's in charge of this committee that's supposed to look into the JFK, John F. Kennedy murder and the assassination of Robert Kennedy, and also the UFO thing. And
See, they were getting too close to
yeah,
the truth, and so they were, taken out of the game because they were getting too close to the truth and waking humanity up. But also, it is a mere reflection of how if humanity was ready. If humanity was really truly ready, then he would have woken them up. But they weren't, so the reflection ends up being that he's taken out. It's interesting when you see it from a consciousness that is developing and not just somebody negative and somebody positive. It's more of when you're ready, it's like when you're ready, the teachers will come, that sort of thing. So when you're ready, then everything will work in favor and humanity is ready now to lift the vibration up into a more awareness and
I,
understand they were never really a victim to anything, and they always had the power from within themselves. That's the game that we are moving into. It's a totally different game. It's not a fear-based, oh my God, they have more power than us and they're confusing us and they're doing that to us. It's not that at all. It is, I am my own sovereign being. I'm allowed on this planet because I've born on this planet, meaning that Earth loves me that much and everything around the outside of me loves me that much. Do you love your outside world, or are you fighting your outside world? If you're fighting your outside world will fight you. It's literally that simple, but it's not because humanity makes things so difficult for
Well,
themselves.
Representative Luna did give out a couple of tidbits. She said that the John F. Kennedy assassination, it just wasn't one shooter. There were two shooters, she said. And then she said about the UFOs and drones, she said from all the people that come in and talk to them at their committees, these whistleblowers, she said from all that they're gathering is that these ETs are actually interdimensional entities. That's what she said. They might as well just admit it, that it's going on. Let me ask you, what are these politicians afraid of, and why are they doing the bidding of somebody who's in charge? Bobbie, do you know who's in charge of this world? Who has them scared? The puppet masters? Who are they, Bobbie?
Well, as far as I know, it's still the Draconians that have been like the puppet masters of most of it. Um, the elder that I met many years ago, she was talking about the blue bloods, and that's what she calls the royalty and those that have really been born with the blood of the Draconian blood. So they are the ones that have monopolized most of humanity's consciousness, as far as I know. And and it's but but it's supposed to have happened that way. Yeah, like I keep seeing the bigger picture. Like I have the Cyanians that talk to me as well, and they show a bigger picture. You can be caught in the story, or you can see above the story and go, oh, so humanity wanted to learn a lesson. Okay, we have to go through all that. And the Draconians had to take over and they had to teach us where our fear was because we're still finding our way through without and learn not to be feeling guilty about everything and all that stuff. Yes. As far as I know, though, if you want to talk in that term of just as Earth itself, like the Draconians are the ones that have taken over. Annunaki have come back as the observers, and they are realizing that when humanity uh, pulls themselves through this and starts to gain more awareness, they're actually going to learn from us how to do this as well for themselves and come more in balance with their own core essence of who they are. So, but Draconians are kind of hanging on. And I'm not saying every single Draconian either, because there are some really good ones out there. It's just like any race, there's good and bad with every race.
Right.
But the ones that are here, they try to hold, but they're falling. They're falling really. They know they're falling. This is why they're pulling out all the stops. And it doesn't matter what they try. It doesn't matter what they do, whether they do nothing, humanity's going to wake up. Whether they do something, they will end up initiating a problem where humanity wakes up. So no matter what happens here, humanity is going to wake up. But we're just in that kind of stormy bit where some of us are in the center of the tornado and some of us are in that whirly bit and some of us are really whirling around, and we've all got to learn to just still ourselves and come to the center, right? To really find where we want to direct the tornado. Where do we want to go? What power empowerment do we have from within ourselves? Humanity is extremely powerful. We just don't know it. Our
No.
power has been taken over by those that are programming us. The more we get worried about it, the more we get anxious about it, the more we're fueling it. We've got to stop fueling their crap and create something new. I can't say it anymore
Yeah.
twice. It's
I
just the way
while,
they,
while
like my
you've been
team's like,
yeah
"Brr."
yeah while you've been talking about the self and how to keep positive and keep all this other stuff away, I I've been listening to some people who say they know how to escape the matrix. Are you saying that some of the stuff that you're getting in telepathically, that do you know how to from your feelings and what you're doing, changing your mode of attitude? Is this kind of escaping the matrix for a little bit, or do you have to come back to it, or can you escape it totally, Bobbie?
I believe that when you come fully into power, and I've had definitely moments of it where my will shift everything around me. So I just decide, no, that's not the way my story is going to go. This is the way my story is going to go. And it starts going that way. My will shift the story around me. So if I was caught in usually it's a fear that I've already in my head gone, oh my God, I hope that doesn't happen. And then as soon as you start going down that road of, oh my God, that's going to happen, because that happened in the past, then you're already driving yourself towards that problem. And when you're caught in it, you can like go, oh my God, that's right. I forgot. I'm actually the power. I'm the central point of my own creation. So I'm by the will of me, nah, it's not going to happen. It's over. And you'll see everything changing around you straight away. Like a good example would be when I was flatting with a flatmate and she was a bit turmoil. Good friend of mine, but with her children, a screamer, and I had been a bit of a yeller with my kids, no, not to her extent, but I was wanting to, um, get through that lesson. And so I like magnetized her to my house, and then she ended up becoming that I was wanting to learn about. When I realized, oh my God, I don't need to put up with this. And I just went in my room and just spoke out to myself, no one else. I just said, by the power of me, for everybody. I want to help everyone here. Let this be over. And then I walked out to the kitchen, and she walked up to me while I was doing dishes straight away and said, "I'm leaving." It was just like that. And I didn't do it just once. I did it a couple of times. So people will literally become um, the reflection of how far you are evolved or grown or realized the power that you have, which is most of humanity doesn't see themselves as powerful. So it keeps them in that limited space. We don't think that we can change our reality just by changing our thoughts and what we've decided we through our will decide. How else do you think Trump and David Icke can do all that work and not be shot and not be killed? Because they have a strong will. They know who they are and they just go, that's how it's going to be. And so be it. And it is, literally is. But we don't exercise that power. We have been told that's a load of crock, it's a load of poop, and don't even go there because you look insane and all of that. So we tell ourselves, oh, I'm insane for thinking that I'm powerful. What? That's ridiculous. We're all energy. We're all energy. There's not even quantum physics has matched this. Like science has matched that. We're all just energy. And we're the observers of our reality. Like they've found that out. And here we are saying, well, my energy is less valuable than your energy. No, it's not the way it goes. We can create whatever we want in our reality, but it has to be grounded through the logic, understanding, or coming to, say, yeah, I agree. In other words, a feminine will come up with imagination. The masculine has to say, yes, I agree. And then together they will create or ground it into this reality. But, most of the time it's the feminine comes up with the imagination. The masculine goes, what a load of crock is that? Where are you going? It's not what I'm used to. I've never done that before. Instead of, right, you need to let go because your story is taking us round and round in circles and we're going on a complete loop and it's just annoying the crap out of us. So listen to me. I've got a better story over here.
Yeah.
Accept that.
Can you imagine the
And then
art?
the masculine, oh, okay, let's have a go at your story. We'll do something
Yeah.
different
Can
here.
you
But I don't
imagine?
know where we're going.
Yeah.
And usually anxiety comes from that masculine going, oh my God, I don't know where I'm going. But it's all
Our
within us.
Yeah, we went past our R, so we're gonna have to close up the shop.
Yeah.
Uh, Bobbie Richardson, tell us where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing, and how people can get a hold of you. I'll probably put that on the narrative, your website,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing in the future and how people can get a hold of you, Bobbie.
Yeah. So my YouTube is Bobbie the Messenger. You can join up with that. And I have a Facebook, Bobbie Richardson. I have a website, Codes to a New Reality.com, and I have a school called Amical that's on Patreon, and it's all learning how to use your telepathic skills. A lot of games, a lot of fun games that takes you out of space and all sorts of things that I've put together, like over 60 games and that lessons go into all sorts of different places, like the realms of the elementals and past lives and soul connections to other planets and all sorts of things and astral traveling. Yeah, so I've got lessons on there as well. You can
Okay.
join up with that if you want. It's just a few dollars a month. And there's a few free ones just to try it out if you want to just join as a free member. And yeah, in New York, I've got the Bedford studio on the 3rd and the 17th of May. And I think it was that and the 13th. I think I got these days right, is the Rays of Light. So yeah, if you want to meet up with me and say hi and let's shift all this energy. I want to get a group together where we bounce off each other and we lift this vibe up. Like spread it out like wildfire. Let's get
There you
into
go.
our
Yeah.
imagination and change this world.
Yeah, vent your feelings and let out all the negativity, suck in the positive and change the world. We need to do that actually. And Bobbie Richardson, thank you so much for doing the show. This is Dave Emmons
Thank
with
you.
Strange Reality, and it was fun time and learn a lot. And actually, it's kind of like it's therapy for me to hear, that we can escape this
Yeah.
this 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 tension and this and
Yeah. I
anxiety.
am an intuitive counselor. That's actually, I do one-on-ones with intuitive counseling. So I'm not surprised you said it's like therapy because that's literally what I do.
So I want to thank everybody for listening in, and thank you, Bobbie Richardson, for a great show. And this is
Thank
Dave
you.
signing off with a strange reality. Good night, all.